All right. And here we are. So, up at the top of the page, on page Shin Kaf Tes, that's what we got to. So now that we've brought in Oros, Mochin, there was a question about what's going on with the Shlomim. The Shlomim actually is shown as aspects of light because you have the Shlomim of the Tzadi, the Tzalim, and also the Lam and Mem, which the Mekifin, but the look of them is the same. So he said, now he has all these words. Let's just figure out a definition of, well, we know nefashos is the lower level there. Well, mispar, also when you count things, I guess it's an active gavura, or that's nukvadik, and then malchios, and then he says demus. Demus is the hardest one, is that it's an image. So maybe what we have, when we have physical images, maybe the explanation could be that in this world, things become physicalized in the image, because the mus also means is that this world is also an image of Eric Anpin from the very beginning, the beginning of the template in Olam Atzilus. So he says this is L'Shlosha Kalim, that's where it's going to go, to the three Kalim of Chacham, the Kachba, the Nook, because that ultimately we want to deliver the Shefa to the Nook. And then we see the Chachma, the Nekudas for Chachma. Excuse me, Chesed, and then Netzach. We have the Mochim, and we have the covering, the Lavush on the Mochim. So I had this question that is it, what's going on with the Tzelem? So this looks like the Tzelem of the Oros that's coming in. That's my explanation at the time. There is a number Tes Zion here, I think, Tes Vav. Let's read it all the way through because that's going to be the end of this. So he said the Shlosha Kli Chochma the Nook, and it's going to go into the right line in the Chochma the Nook. So there are three Kalim, and we see what they look like. Yeah, there's a young man here, young married man who's does a lot of mantras on these things, and he's not exactly doing what we're doing or thinking about. Everybody that I found that, or most of the people I find that are Balabatim that are interested in serving in Kabbalah, they have different kinds of of what's right. Their directions are different. They're coming from different places. So now we come over to page Shin Lamed. So he says that after you do this, there was a note on it. Okay, let's go back and do the note. I'm sorry, a number test above. He says, "Va'ata yikavet la'amshik l'nok, the fashas misver malchios v'demos, l'shlosha kelim hachan the kach bad the nook." So these are the kelim. He's saying that each line has its own set of chachma, I guess, or hachan. After שנמשכו הגדול, הגדלus הראשון, the מוח החפה, the zer anpin. So then after we've done that, where are we? Over here on page Shin Lamed Aleph. He said, Ad hanetzach shabo, until we reach Chetzam, nimshachan and mochin the nook. So at that point, then the mochin go to the nook. The notion of Lucas on Malchios shall call Bechina Bechina, so it gives the Malchios of ever Bechina. What Bechina does he mean? V'hu on the Vashos, on the Vashos. What are the Nefashos? Who on Malchus shall Naranchi Shehem HaOros. So let's just unpack that one a little bit. He says the Malchus that goes along with each one of the Oros. Now, I'm not sure what he means by that. Does he mean that the Oros themselves are, each one of them is a partzuf? And so that you were dealing with the Malchus? That's what it's mashma from this. Shehem ha'oros, which are the oros, v'hamispar shel ha'shemas shuhu ha'malchus, and then also the count of the names. Counting the names is also malchus, dekateu shechol ha'shemas atzman. Shehem ha'mochin v'ha'malchus, now you have the mochin, the malchus, who chelek ha'malchus shel ha'kelim, this is the portion of the malchus of the kelim, shel nai the ima. So I think I need to read this again, this part. he went to the phrase Hamispar Shal Hashemos, the count of the names, Hamalchus Shal, which is, he says, Shuhu Hamalchus Shal Hashemos Atzman. Okay, I'm not sure what Shemos he's talking about either. Does he mean the Malchus of the Shehem HaMochin, the Malchus that's the Mochin, the Hamalchios, that which are the Hamalchus Shal Hashemos Atzman, Shehem HaMochin, the Hamalchios who Chedek Hamalchus Shal Kalim Shal Nai Deima. So they're, my mistake is that they're the Malchus of the Kalim which have 10 spheros. They're the Malchus of those Kalims. The Demus, what's that? Hu Chelek Malchus Shal Hatzlomim. That's the portion that has to do with the Tzlomim, the page of the Malchus of the Tzlomim. What does that mean? Behem Neknasin, the Shlosha Keleb Benimim, and that's what actually goes into the three interior, the middle, and the outside Kalim, the Hacham, the Kachav, the Nuk. From the right line of each one of the Keser Chochma Bina of the Nuk. The Haina Chacham Shal Keser Shuhu Yechida, the Chacham Shal Chochma Shuhu Chaya, the Chacham Shal Bina Shuhu Neshama, Shehem Shlosha Partzufi Hagadlus, Rishon Shal Hanuk, which are the Partzufim, those Partzufim. Okay, get a little bit of an idea from that, where we're going here. This is how his language works. So then he says on page Kushen Lamed, he says at the top, so now that it's gone into the Nuk, we're going to Hasher Sham and the Ranchi Umochan, the Chochma, we're going to leave then, V'lechos, so that's going to stay there. And we're dealing with the Nuk, and we're dealing with the same rules. We're looking actually the same Tamunos. So the Ekias, the Ekihavaya with the Nakudos changing. Once again, the Moach, all of this is going. The Mochim, and then the Lavush for the Mochim. And again, just want to go back to something he said. He said that one second, he says, Misbar, that's the Misbar, and Demus, who Chelek HaMalchus Shal HaTzlomim. So what's the Tzlomim? The Malchus of the Tzlomim. Tzlomim are Oros, also a Lavush over the Lavush over the get it out. Let's see, I'm trying to think. Cold summer. So cold summer is the Lavush over the Mochim. The Shlosha Kelim Penimim Emsoim V'chitzonim the Hacham the Kachav. Okay, that's giving an idea of what that is. It's a lavush over the moching, which has to do with the tzelem, the tzlomim. Now he says, going back to where we were, number Tezvav, he said Tezayin, rather, he said the Hasher Sham the Ranchi, to leave behind there, the Ranchi Umochen the Chochma. We're going to leave that behind. The chesed, the netzach, the kli hachesed, the nuk, and then he shows us this movement of the same set of lights. But now they're in a different place. They're being pushed downwards. It's the same set. Shlosha kli chesed, and it shows us the three kelim of chesed. One second, let me see if that goes. The chesed, kli panimi, kli mitzvah, etc. The lahasher sham the ranchi mochan the chesed. Then this is just the whole thing we're going to do. The Nuk, v'litchos on netzach, the shlosha kli netzach the Nuk, and then we show you the oros, the mochin, and I guess that's the levushim into this kalim. That's what's going into the kalim. So we had number Tes Vav. Let's look at it's a Tes Zion, sorry. So he says Tes Zion, which had said v'lahasher sham the ranchi u'mochen the chochma lidchos ha'chesed the netzach chesed the nuk. To send it over to the chetzach, and then also the netzach, which is on that same line. So we're going to go through. He's going to go through here every one of these movements Akol HaMochin V'chan Narantchi Shehem Chavaya Ve'ekya Minukados. So the Mochin, along with their Oros, which are the Havaya Ekya combos, Neknasim B'tachida the Chochma. So the first thing they go into Chochmah. So I would have a question is why did he say call the Mochin V'Naranki? First he said the Mochin, then he said the Naranki. Mochin and Mochin, and the Naranki is Oros. So we see that in the Tamuna that the Oros come first. So I would assume that if you were looking up from down below, that the first that you would see would be the first part would enter in would be the Lavush, or the Mochin, in this case, which is Mochin over the Oros. And then finally inside of that would be the Oros. That's what I'm thinking. So then the Ramchi represents Havaya and an Ekya, which are Menuka. So then they come Neknazach B'tachila l'chochma. So first that enters into the chochma, v'achar kach nish'arim misham chelik ma'mochin, which we've seen this thought before. V'hein on the ranchi yashayich l'chochma shuhu chavaya v'ekya b'nikud patach, and then you get to that also there. V'ashar shehem havaya v'ekya b'nikud segel v'chirik. Those get nedochim l'chesed denuk. So we're dealing here on the nuk side. But Tzark l'kamim gam er shemes hamochin kamosha kasavna la'el b'zer anpeh. Now number Yud Zion. Let me move my stuff around. There we go. So he said number Yud Zion. So therefore, when the lahashir sham the radchi hamochin the chesed v'lidchos hanetzach the shlosha kli netzach denuk, and so this we understood. It's the same pattern. So hamochin on the ranki shal chesed nish'arim b'chesed v'chelik min hamochin, those that chelik which is shaykh the netzach, and also the oros that go around with it, with the naranchi shal netzach havaya be'ekya b'nikud hirik lidochin the netzach. So they get pushed over there. Now, it looks like we have some introductory remarks here on Katnas Sheni. So that was Katnas Rishon. Katnas Rishon, 1 second. Excuse me, that was Godless Rishon. Godless Rishon all the way around. I don't know which is it. Is there a Godless Rishon of Abba, Godless Rishon of both of them? I'm a little confused. So, Va'ata. Ayidei lakichas hakos. Now you're going to take the cup, and we're going to start talking about katnas sheni de ima. So you take the cup because what is it? We see that the wine is associated with ima. So let me go back just through my thinking. Is that the first thing that we saw about is the shefa that's coming all the way down to from Godless Rishon to both sides, to all sides. A general idea, maybe. Let's see how this goes. Gematria Elokim. Kos is the same gematria as the word Elokim. Shechilufa, you could switch it by moving everything to the right one, right. You get the name Akkad. And then he says that in that kos, there's wine. Shabasilcha gematria ayin. So the gematria is ayin. So now you have this number ayin. Shehim chamisha etzbos ha'ochsim bo. So if you put the 5 fingers together, because gematria ayin hey. What is that? Kemisbar Hashem Hanizkar is like the gematria of the name Akkad. So he says like this: Ad ata. So let's talk about coming from Sabbath Davina, which is already in, and what we did was we saw what it looked like and how it moves, up until finally it reaches the Netzach of the Nook. And the Kavana is that they already came in. But now here we're going to talk to something is an actual Maisa. Ba'ada b'kiddush ma'amshichem as a katnas hasheni v'chagadus hasheni So now we're going to be looking at moving the Katna Sheni and Gadlus Sheni. The mitzad ima ilo bilvad, only from the side of ima. Hakatna Sheni shuhu shem akad nimshuk al yedei habachitzas hakos. It comes as a result of holding on to the cup. Why would that be? He said because the word cup is a gematria of Elokim, which is 86. V'tzarek l'kaven b'chiluf ha'osia. So now what you need to do is just switch the letters around. Akodmos shuhu shem akad. V'od nirmaz shem akad. Shechayayin shebesoch hakos also goes to the gematria of 70. And that turns out to be Visir Fim Chamisha, it's both ha'osim b'kos, and if you put it together with the 5 fingers that are holding the kos, all of the mispar ayin hey, which is the same mitzvah shahu kabinyan Hashem akad imakola. Now going on to number Yud Tes, va'al yedecha b'dibar haKiddush. So now you're actually going to say the words of the Kiddush. Now what we said, that one of these is the Oraisa, is I guess the mitzvah itself, and then the other is supposed to be the Rabbanan. So let's say Hal Yedei Dibur HaKodesh Mamshech as HaGadlus Hasheni. This causes the Gadlus Hasheni to start moving, to start flowing, I guess. Shechadibur Hu Penimius HaRomos, the Gadlus. This is the Penimius, which is HaRomez, the Gadlus, which is a remes to Gadlus. So let's go on a little bit more. And he says, Yakaven, Lahamshech Chachan Dachamishech Partsufi Nai V'Chagat V'Kochov V'Chamisha Partsufi De'ima Iloh. Now let's just unpack this a little bit. Yakaven Lahamshech Chachan, so that's the right line, to the 5 Partsufim which are found in, I guess he says, let me just say, the 5 Partsufim which are Nai V'Chagat, that's 2, the Kochov, and Kochov, that's 3, the Chamisha Partsufi, the Ima Iloh of these. So we're just really dealing not the way I did it. It said the 9, the Chagat, and the Kochov. So that this is the 10 spheros, or the 9 spheros that are going to go up. So he says, Al Yedei Hachzakas HaKos, by holding the Kos, Va'al Yedei Dibur HaKiddush, and by using the words themselves of the Kiddush, Mamshichem Masakadlu Sheni, Va'gadlu Sheni shall muach ha'chochma debetzad ima iloh. So that's what's happening when you pick up that first kos, Muach ha'chochma shuhu kav yamen nikra chachan, v'hakadlu Sheni v'hagadlu Sheni hem hamisha partsufim nai v'chagad v'kochav. They're the 5 partsufim that you find in the Nai, the Chagat, and the Kochav. Now that's the way I'm saying it, because he doesn't have 5 Partsufim, he doesn't make it these the Partsufim. These are the Partsufim, he says, Sheni Shehem Chamisha Partsufim, each of the Nai, the Chagat, and the Kochav. That's the way I'm reading it now, so maybe not, but we'll see. So Shnei Partsufim Katnash, Shehem Anai v'Chagat. Okay, because this is something that appears a lot in the Rashash in different places, where he uses we have the concept of the Chagat, and the Nai, the Chagat, and the, what is the Nai, and the Chagat, the Nai, we have all that kind of stuff, but here he says, Partsufikat and Sheni, Hem ha-Nai v'Chagat, because that's Katnas. Nai hu ha-Nefesh, v'Chagat refers to the Ruach. The Shnechem Nekroim Katnas, then the 2 of them, both are called by the name Katnas. B'shlosha partzufi hagadlus, so let's talk about them, of gadlus sheni, hem hakachav, shehem neshama chayin yechida, so that contains those lights. Of a yachdav, hem chamisha partzufin, so you put them all together, you find parts for partzufin, the chamisha partzufin, the imere lo chamisha, mshachos zu mechamesh partzufin, the ima iloh, they're from the 5 partzufim of ima. Shahari Katnu Sheni V'Gadlu Sheni Heim Me'ima Iloh, they come from that place. V'Ad Kan Diber Al Levusha Debetzad Ima Iloh. v'levushim ala mochin. So he says what? V'ad kan, up until this time, it's been talking about the levushim de b'tzad ima, and the levushim ala mochin, and the amalvishim ala mochin, which are covering over the mochin. Number Kaf Aleph. He says, im mochin penimim de tzadi umakifin de labad men, the hachan of that right lung again, coming out of ima yilor, the chamishit salming the rankim. So let's go that they have I got to sort this out here because I've been concerned about this word solemn. The thalem. Thalem is a the way I understand it is a lavush, because part of the cold summer. But the way he introduces it a little different. So let me start it again. Im mochim penimim de tzadi umakifin the lamed mem the hachan of the pish of the five psalmim the rantchi, the different slomim that go within the rantchi, then the rantchi, the chaya, the ben, the ma. Now that's really a lot there to unpack. So he says it's the oros, which is the penimim the malchim of the right line of each of the five. He says Psalmi Naranchi. So he says the oros, or I guess the Psalmi, the oros is a type of a covering over the Naranchi. But he says it's not just the Naranchi, it's the Naranchi. So why did we get that? It's each one of the Naranchi has a Naranchi in it. The Chaya, the Ben, the Ma. Now, what did it have to do with the Chaya? I don't know. So he writes, Besocha Levushim, the Mitzad Ima. So look inside of the Levushim from the Imadika side. Now, Levushim is before you get to the Kli, you have the Levush. Inside of the Levush is the Tzelem. Besocha Levushim, the Mitzad Ima. Nimshakim at Slomim, the Mitzad Ima. So now here we see the Slomim come. The Slomim, Elu, the Katnas, Sheni. So the tzlomim we're dealing with is Katnas Sheni v'Gadlu Sheni. It's those two. Kolon and Besochim, Mochim, Penimim, and Mekifim, and they have within them Mochim. The Mochim, I really need to go over this again because I'm trying to understand what the way he's showing the tzlomim and the way he says about it. So let me read it again one more time. He says, where is it? It starts Besocha Lavusha de Mitzad Ima. We have no problem inside the Lavusha is going to be the Tzlomim. Nimshachem at Tzlomim de Mitzad Ima. Tzlomim Elu, the Katna Sheni, the Gadla Sheni. So this Tzlomim that we're talking about, which is a covering over the Lavush, or inside, it's a covering over the Lavush. Kolon Besochim Mochim Penimim and Mekifim, so they have Mochim within them are Penimim and Mekifim. Now I thought that referred to the Oros, but I guess that's what it is. They have inside of them these Mochim. Mochim Penimim the Tzadi. So the Mochim the Penimim come from the Tzadi the Tzalim, and Mochim Penimim the Korim Tzadi the Tzalim. And Mochim Mekifim are the Lamamem the Tzalim. So this is now in that. Okay, the tzadi is the only part that's inside of Zeranpin, and the lam men on the outside. So he says, "Mochim makifin the lamad men and mochim and makifin the koyim lamad men the tzalim." We know that the hachan shuhu moach hachma shuhu bekav yamim. Okay, we understand this right line. V'hamishit tzalmi the rantchi, and then there's also 5 tzlamim of the narantchi. So tzlamim again are a lavush over the narantchi. So how does it work? It's a chamishat slomim him. So there are 5, in fact, 5 slomim. What are they? Shehem nimshachim shnei partzufi hakatnas. Shehem nefesh v'ruach, because they what? Nimshachim. They are actually the ones that are doing the pouring. I don't know. Nimshachim shnei partzufi hakatnas. Shehem nefesh v'ruach. So they actually bring that out. Shlosha partzufi magadlos. Shehem neshama chayin yechida. The Narantchi, that's the highest part of the Narantchi, the Chaya. Mochin the Katna Sheni v'Gadla Sheni Elu. So now he says these Mochin, the Mochin had to do with Katnu Sheni, V'gadlu Sheni, Nimshachim Machaya. They come from the idea of Chaya. So we're talking about these two different kinds of Oros. I guess the Katnu Sheni, V'gadlu Sheni, or we're talking about the Tzelem. Nimshachim Machaya, who parts of Ima law. Where do they come from? That's where they come from. Now, the rest of the sentence, and maybe I should have read the one on the top first so we could get the whole thing together, but we're taking it piecemeal this time. So he says, what's coming here? What does the ben dema mean? Now, you see this all the time. Shuhu kav yamin de betzad ima. The bekosos nimshaking rock amochin de betzad ima. Just wants to add that in. You might forgot that. Lo kavonos. It's not the same as the kavonos, the godless erection, the le'el. It's not like that. Because over there you did the Abba and the Ima. That's what I was trying to remember over there. So therefore, that was the godless Rishon is Abba ve'Ima. But over here we're dealing just with the Kos, and the Kos has to do with Ima. So the Kavana is like this. Also, the male aspect of the male aspect. V'ata b'katu sheni, with the gadlu sheni, hakavana rak al chelek hamochen de b'tzad ima, but we're not talking about the ma, and the etc. All of those male things. We're talking about female things, and the mshachim ayedeh hakosus, which come as a result of the kosos. Now, we're taking it piecemeal, so we'll take the next line, and so the next line says, Im ha-mochin the chochma the iver v'yanika the katnu sheni, and so along with comes the mochin. The mochin is is the principal, or they say that's the first covering over the oros. So we're going to deal with iver, yanika, and katnus sheni. So iver and yanika refer to nefesh and also ruach. Shem shnei shemos akad, which are these two names of akad. Excuse me. So he said, in the midst of these levushim and the tzlomim, which are covering over the levushim, inside of them are the mochin themselves. Mamshichin because rishon, because this they extend and they pour down into the first, is poured into the first cup. The iver v'yanika, what's that mean? Shehem partzufi hanefesh v'haruach, I think I said that. Shehem akatna sheni, which represents the katna sheni. Shehem shnei shemos akad. There are these two names right here. Hamochin the katna sheni. So the mochin, when we talk about katna sheni, Him Shemus Akkad. They're not Elokims, they're named Akkads. V'chatam shebekuvonim shnei pamim shnei Akkad who echad lemochin la'atzman ve'echad levush hamochin, and the other one is for the levush. There's also levush over there. So again, he left out the tzlomim, but the tzlomim have some specific purpose. So there's a reason why he leaves it out, but it's in there. Because in between levushim and mochim, you're going to have the tzlomim in between them. Shebekatas hamochim v'halavushim shavim, because he says in katnas, the mochim and levushim are equivalent; they're the same. Lo begadla shahamochim hem shemos avai v'halavushim are shemos ekya. It's not like that in katnas. Now let's move on here to the number that was Kaf Gimel. So Kaf Gimel writes, "V'hamochin the chachma the gadol sheni." So the mochin, the katnas, the gadol sheni, and here we come to the image. So before reading anything, well, there isn't anything to read. So there's a Kaf Dalet here, and a Kaf Hey, and a Kaf Vav, and a Kaf Zayin. So we'll get a chance to look at some of this. So the Mekifi Mem. That's the subject here. And he said, the Kadna Sheni de Ima. Number Kaf Hey, the Chachman de Mekifi Lamet. So he says, and then we see the oros again. This is Katnas Shani de Ima. This is Katnas Shani de Ima, but we're dealing with two different kinds of mochin. The hachan, the mochin, the penimi, the tzadi, the tzal. So the tzadi, the tzal, and we notice that the oros have not changed. Not sure what this means. He never does that. There always repeats. So he says, "V'chachan the mochin penimim the tzadi the kata sheni the ima." So this is the right line. This is what it looks like of the tzadi that's going into ima, and then at the bottom he has it going into akadatam and akad. Again, these are the mochin. One is a mochim, and he said that slum. Oh, here nice is that slumim are like that. So let's are the same. It's the same name. So let's look over here. I think our first number is number Kaf Dalet. So Kaf Dalet says, Hachan de Mekifi Mem de Katna Sheni de Ima. So this is what, that's the blurb up above. It's the Hachan, of the Mem. It shows the lights separately. So the mem the kadna sheni the ibo b'dechida mamshichem as hamochin the kadna sheni. So the first thing is that we're going to be working with the mochin the kadna sheni. So he says b'dechida mamshichem as hamochin the kadna sheni. V'kevin shehem b'kav yomem, and since they're going to be on the right line, Hem menukada benikud patach segel and kirik, which is the menuka, the nekudos of the hacham. Amam shichem as maki from mem, shehu maki for elyon mekach bad de ima. That's coming from the highest place in ima. Then number kaf hey. Then the kaf hey would be the lamed. So he says this is going to be the same look. He says the kantas the ima mamshichem as makiv halamad. So the makiv halamad mekavish shehu bechagat the ima, which is coming from the chagat of ima. Okay, so where did the other one come? Aim shehu makiv elyon mekach bad the ima. So the first part comes the kachbad. This is coming from the chagat. Number Kaf Vav, he says, Hachan the mochin penimi the tzadi the kadnas sheni the ima, mamshichan as a mochin the penimi the kadnas sheni the muachachma. So we're now moving this. Shehem tzadi the tzalim shuhu manai the ima from the tzadi the tzalim, which is from the nai of ima, haniknas and the penimi zav, which we understand that. The last one is where he shows us the akads. So he has this twice. One is the mochin, the one is slomim, and he made a statement that the slomim and the mochin are the same. I don't know what that means. It's the equivalent. I don't know what he meant. Shem Makad, he says the rishon who are mochin the katna sheni, the muach chochma the betzad ima. That's what the moach looks like. He says it's the name Akad. Shehem Akad, a rishon who are mochin. That is, a kad is a moach, the katna sheni, the moach hachoch the betzad ima. Then he said, "Dezer anpen atzmam, the za atzman." So he says it in plural. B'shem akad asheni hu levusha hamoach the anikroim slomim. So here it's slomim. So he says the second levush, the second one, which is a levush, he says mochim and slomim. Oh, then comes slomim. The next levush is going to be that v'shem akad hasheni hu levush hamoach hanikroim slomim haboyim menai the ima that comes from the nai of ima. Okay, so now we're going to go up here to the top of this page. It says l'shlosha kelim. So where is it going to go? So we understand where it came from. It came from the, I guess, the Chabad, the Kachav, Chagat of Ima. So he says the Shlosha Kelim the Chachma, and he says the Vok of Vok, the Chachma, the Zah. I don't like to get an explanation of why he says the Vok of the Vok, but the Vok of the Vok is the Kadnas of the Kadnas. So then he shows you that they're going into three different Kalim. and you see the kalim on the left. So he said, so let's look at number kaf ches. Number kaf ches, where we get to, or maybe I should just look at the outside before. Let's look at the outside first. Number kaf tes says, v'lahashir sham the ranchi de chochma. Then we leave the ranchi de chochma behind over there. So we push this all into chesed, and now we're going to push out the kli of chesed. The chesed netzach kli ha-chesed. So we're going to push everything. These are the oros. These are the mochin. The lavush is the same lavush, the same as the mochin. And then it shows you the three kalim. So let's come over here and let's take a number kaf ches. Kaf ches says the shlosha kalim, the chochma. Okay, that's it. Okay, my watch is a little bit fast on here. Okay, that's the shiur for today. This is your very own Saba speaking at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel as we're going through the RASHASH, the kavanos of the RASHASH on the Seder night.